Welcome to this week's episode where Cody and I discuss Battlebots, Apollo 11 souvenirs, and why Whovians everywhere should be excited. Welcome to episode 5.
Try again.
We have made it to episode 5 of Blown Pixel, where Cody and myself discuss tech, startups, and culture, and, well, really whatever comes to mind. I am T-Rave, broadcasting from Omaha, Nebraska.
And I am Cody Beasley, broadcasting from Kansas City, Missouri.
Very awesome. What's happening in Kansas City? Is it as cold down there as it is up here? It's like 10 degrees right now.
So it started out about 13 today, a nice warm and mellow 13, and then it heated up, like I felt some sunshine a little bit, so that was pretty good. So outside of that,
I hate the sun. I hate the sun when it's like really cold outside, because you're like, oh man, it's probably warming up. Oh yeah, and then you walk outside and you're like, oh my god, what am I doing with my life? My
It'll
face
teach you
is
to
just
stay inside. That's what you do.
Kids, stay inside, stay behind your computers, and make sure to subscribe to Blown Pixel.
Never, ever go outside, ever.
Ever. But outside of the weather, anything awesome going on in the Kansas City region?
So there's one thing that I want to talk about, and we can put some of the stuff up, too. Have you heard about the Midnight Circus yet, T-Rave?
Whoa, no, I have not.
Okay, so there is apparently something going on the, I believe, 20th. And I need to look this up, but I'll get more details after you start talking.
Just kind of like last week, I discussed some user groups that you can be a part of. There was a JavaScript one this week, the Ruby one that I mentioned last week, as well as WordPress. And, WordPress is obviously close to my heart, as I do work for a managed WordPress hosting company. So if you are in Omaha looking for people to meet around those technologies, definitely check it out. Cody and I are kind of discussing a functional up in Omaha. We keep talking about it. We'll see if it ever happens. But there are a lot of great places. It'll happen. It will happen. So stay tuned for that kind of news. You can definitely join the Facebook page for Functional. Getfunctional.co is the website, right?
Yes, it
or
is.
Bfunctional.
Well, bfunctional.co. And yeah, and it's on Facebook and all the fun properties and everything. But always just contact me if you're lost or need help or, whatever it is. I will be your tour guide to all the things. Okay, so
all right. More information about Live KC.
Right. So Live KC is running an event called the Midnight Underground Circus, which sounds awesome. So do you know the Municipal Auditorium in KC, T-Rave?
I do.
I
do.
So apparently, not only, where the auditorium is, but there's actually a space underneath it.
Okay.
Something like thousands and thousands of square feet. Used to be something that was used all the time as, like, Kansas City's main convention center before, I think, the other convention center was built. And so, for the last 40 years, the thing hasn't been used for almost anything. And so what's been spreading around is there's this new event that's going to happen down there. And it's going to happen on February 20th. And we're going to put some information up on the video so that you can get tickets. I actually think it might be sold out. Actually, but there may be some. I know Think Big has a competition for it and things like that. But anyway, what it is they're going to take over that whole underground space, and they're going to have an underground circus. So you've got like feats of strength, you've got beer, and you've got quixotic, and it will be an actual circus, which will be crazy. And then apparently there is a special musical guest that will come on at midnight. And from what I've been told, this is like a major headliner too. So enough that the tickets themselves are they're over $50. I think the normal tickets are about $62. Yeah.
Wow.
So it'll be very interesting, and next Blown Pixel I also pitch this again, but apparently secret magic, crazy circus thing going on, and it sounds amazing.
All right.
Do you want to get some news started here?
Yeah, so I don't even know how I stumbled upon this, but I'm glad that it came across my channels, and that is David Cross is letting fans name their price and download his first film creation hits on BitTorrent. And so David Cross, an actor, has turned into director of this film. I believe Michael Cera is in it, and it's well, at least the picture's in it of him in it. But he's basically going. A few years ago, Radiohead for In Rainbows, said name your price, download our music. And they weren't obviously the first, but they were probably the most prominent and highly publicized. David Cross is doing it slightly different with the BitTorrent aspect of it's about the same, but that's happening. It actually goes on sale February 13th, Friday the 13th, which is tomorrow if you're watching live, in the past if you're watching the recorded. But yeah, that's it's his first film. He's kind of putting it out there to see how it fares, I guess, and see how much money it is gonna raise. And I'm kind of wondering
how well it'll do. Yeah,
how well it'll do. And this comes from a TechCrunch article that I'm kind of looking over at, and it looks like he ran this on Kickstarter. So this initially came from Kickstarter, it appears, and now is being distributed via BitTorrent.
That's very cool. I know that a lot of folks have started to do this in the music scene. You started to see like 9 Inch Nails did this. A couple folks have done this, just kind of the pay what you want situation. This is kind of a weird hybrid because this is coming off of Zach Braff kickstarting a movie and Veronica Mars bombing, and there's been a ton of people that have said, stop kickstarting these things. You can get funding. I hate you. I mean, it's classic any celebrity.
The internet is fickle, and this is where it shines.
So, Battlebots. All right, I want to talk about Battlebots. After a 10-year hiatus, Battlebots is coming back to TV. T-Rafe, how excited are you?
I'm super excited. Super excited, and especially after reading this article, how the guy said he had limited access to cable television to watch it when he was a kid, but he made it a goal. That's what I did. I did not get privileged with cable growing up, and when I was at grandma's, I'd be like, oh, I hope it's on, I hope it's on. And this is before DVR, so you couldn't DVR anything.
Oh,
what am I going to do?
No,
shove a VHS in the slot? Yeah, no, that's not happening. I'm super excited, though.
So I think fundamentally that BattleBots is the reason that kids got into engineering, right? So, barring NASA and barring, what would later be Mythbusters, BattleBots was the first thing. It mixed all the greats, man. It was like monster truck racing meets pro wrestling meets hard robotic stuff. And you would watch these machines that people built in their garages in teams just murder each other, and that is the best thing ever.
I'm excited because when you're younger, you see this and you're like, holy crap, I want to build a bot and I want to go destroy things. But you can't do that on the streets.
Not legally.
How are you going to get... you're running through your head okay, if I get some lawnmowers and I get this, and you're trying to think through it, but the accessibility to electronics and actually programming circuit boards and chips was not there.
And Kansas City actually has a very interesting, awesome maker culture here. In fact, I'm wearing fucking shirt. You see the Makers Gotta Make things from the Jarbo guys? Anyway, we've got, like, I think the third largest maker fair. So it's just San Francisco and New York that's larger than us. And so every maker fair at our Union Station, we have this big FIRST robotics competition. And you see a little bit of that. You know, they're not murdering each other, which I would actually prefer to watch. But, you know, good for them. It's a great track for kids to get into. And you're right, with all this Arduino stuff, think about it. Like, Advanced Fab, you can 3D print any part you want. You've got Arduinos for easy access to circuit board.
And then it's accelerating so much, like, so fast. And so we're, like, 3 years ago where you're, like, 3D printing, like, yeah, that's going to catch on. Now it's not even 3D printing. It's like, oh, there's a circuit board printer coming out that you can prototype your own, and it's like $1,500. You're like, wait a minute. Like, you know, a decade ago, when Battlebots was, you know, strong, that wasn't a thing. These were guys that were dumping thousands and thousands of dollars into it, and like now, like, obviously it would be in the thousands still, but like more advanced, more badass. Oh.
This is going to get into weird territory real fast, though. This is going to get into iRobot, like, do robots feel? Are we, like, worse than Pokemon people? Like, what is going on? And I'm excited for that inevitability where we're like, these robots are so awesome, we should rethink our ethical quandary on this.
Next up from me, this was at the top of producthunt.com the other day, and I think, Cody, you'll appreciate this, as we've made a lot of domain purchases in our lifetime. At our young ages, we have bought so many domains.
Mostly under alcoholic supervision.
Mostly not sober. But domaininferno.com. Again, it was at the top of Product Hunt. What the description was, or maybe, oh wait, it wasn't at the top of Product Hunt, sorry, but it was at least on the front page, and it's pronounceable, available, newly expired names. And so, you know, it's a list of all these domains that have expired in the day that you can go through and check the availability / like, if they're known to be available, it has a link directly to Namecheap.
T-Rave, this is gonna ruin our lives.
It really is. What I've noticed though is when you if you're not signed in, it actually counts down like how many items you can sort, and so they have .com, .net, .org, .us. You know, up to 5 characters, up to 10 characters. But, like, there are some legit good names in here. Well, I wouldn't say good names, but definitely.
Don't say them like that. You're like, there's like, they're amazing. And you're like, actually,
well,
they're really
okay,
shitty.
that's actually. But it's actually for me to say, no, you do not need to look at this list every day, or else I'm going to run into the same issue that I've had.
These are the clearance racks for techies, man. This is something we need to stay away from because Amazon already has a one-click button. This will bankrupt us in a real way. We'll never be able to do Blown Pixel again.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at this right there. SevereDigital.com? That sounds cool to me.
Severely digital. That's like an ailment.
RudeSexy.com? Don't know what I'd do with it, but I would buy the shit out of it.
No.
So...
Don't do that.
So that's why I'm closing the tab now. But if you are in the mindset of buying domains, domaininferno.com.
Can you see if domainintervention.com is available on this site?
All right. Well, I'll check it out.
Who is on it?
Holy crap! I think if I spelled intervention correctly. Oh man, Oh man, it's available.
So we need to get into the API and then just white label that and call it domain intervention. We will make so much affiliate cash.
All right, so you go into yours. I'm gonna buy this real quick.
Okay, so my piece of news is that so Neil Armstrong's widow was, going through his items, I suppose, after his death in 2012, and happened to find a bag. It looks kind of like a clutch purse, and when she opened it up, she figured out that Neil had taken things from his spacewalk and had them, like, hidden away. So the Apollo 11 launch, we're talking, like, little pieces of, like, screws and wires and things like that. But also maybe
No, there's bigger stuff than
well,
that.
I'm leading up to that. Also, the
All
camera that filmed the moonwalk, apparently, or at least one of them that captured a really critical angle. I think it still had film in it that was better quality than the one that we've historically had. So these cameras alone, there was one that went on auction for like 700,000 or something, just because it was like in proximity of it, or maybe it went up in space. But this one will have to like bring in millions of dollars, not just the camera, but the whole thing.
It was probably a decade or maybe like 5 to 10 years ago. They thought they had lost all the copies of the moon landing or some kind of mission, and some janitor opened a door and was like cleaning out stuff and was like, oh, this stuff looks kind of important. And it's just like the cataloging that happens in NASA is very poor, I think. So
you would think they have to have strict things now, right? So like they had to know the weight of the lunar module, so everything was cataloged. It sounds like this was just stuff that he returned the tapes and everything, and I don't know, just got a free pass to keep like some knickknacks, right?
Well, I mean, think it is like NASA as a newer company, and like he probably just was like, hey, is it cool if I take this? And they were probably like, yeah, I don't see why not.
Well, so I think also that they were going to leave that stuff on the actual moon, and so he collected some of them and just took it back and kept it secret, kept it safe. I don't know.
Yeah. All right.
Let's see. We have, this cool crash-proof UAV drone. So did you see anything about this thing?
A little bit. I haven't seen this one, but I heard that there are some prototypes out there that are catching attention.
Yeah. So one of the big issues with, one of the big practical reasons to use drones is for first response. So if like there's a building collapse, or maybe there's an earthquake or whatever, maybe there's just a fire. A lot of police forces, firemen, first responders, etc., are looking into drone technology as a way to get into really dangerous areas, assess the environment, and then see if they can find people. So, these things are loaded up with sensors. You can hear people. You can assess, like, the spatial, piece of the building to figure out if there's a wall collapsed, blah, blah, blah. So anyway, one of the big problems is, you can't take anything with, like, rolling wheels in it because there's too much debris and it can't go over it unless you're Boston Robotics or Boston Dynamics or whatever, which we need to get into someday because it's awesome. And you can't always use, like, the typical drones you see, like the DJI stuff, because if it hits something, those blades will chip and the thing will crash, and then you've lost your drone. So there's like big events like the latest Fukushima, the nuclear meltdowns and things like that. They just didn't have the solution to actually get in there. So what's cool about this drone is it's actually encased in this ball, and it bounces around. Like you've seen mayflies and other insects do this, where they kind of like bounce around. You just think they're drunk or whatever, but it's actually they're trying to figure out like placement because they're too stupid to see or they don't have eyes or whatever. So we're gonna play this video and you can see kind of it in action instead of me rambling about it. Here it is.
With this concern in mind, Flyability developed Gimbal, a game-changing innovation in the world of drones. Gimbal is a small, lightweight drone which has the unique capability of being able to collide on obstacles and continue flying afterwards. And it's also the first robot to be safe to fly in contact with humans. Our vision is to equip every rescuer with such a robot that can be easily deployed on the field with the click of a button. It is the first robot able to enter the heart of a disaster. While other drones crash if they touch an obstacle, Gimbal can use the obstacles to find its way to the victims. It can roll on the floor, surfaces or ceilings, in addition to flying. With onboard optical and thermal imaging, it can identify the location of victims without risking to hurt them, even through smoke, and gather critical information on the incident, for example, identifying the source of a chemical leak.
Just the application of this is awesome. I mean, we fly drones around in our office, little quadcopters, and we went from a bigger, like, wider one to like these little itty bitty ones. And honestly, the biggest thing is if you don't know how to pilot, or it gets unstable, you run into walls. We have brick walls. We're shattering blades, and parts are going everywhere. And luckily they're only like $20, so we buy more. And so but to take the application not only to let's fix what is almost an easy problem, like this breaks, let's fix that, but then apply it to rescue and more research. That'd be an awesome project to be working on.
All right, so we have our next segment, of course, In Musk We Trust.
In Musk we trust.
Yes. So the latest Elon news, of course, is the Falcon 9 rocket has reattempted its landing on the barge situation. And so now that this has run, since I picked up the news when they said they were going to start, it was this week actually, was it when they were going to reattempt it. I think they were going to do it Monday first time, and then they rescheduled to, what was it, Wednesday? And then they moved it to, maybe they did it Wednesday. But the news is basically that, yeah, successful launch, but they were not going to actually do the try to re-land part of this. And do you have any information outside of that, T-Rave?
I don't. I just know that with the Falcon 9, they've had a lot of issues landing them, and Elon is very upfront about it. The whole SpaceX team is very upfront about the issues they're encountering. I love the transparency behind SpaceX.
I'm sure they're going to make this landing soon enough. But I think what they were shooting up some satellites. Was that it?
The idea is to take what they're calling Discover Up, and it is a research lab or satellite to analyze, I believe, solar patterns of the sun.
Weather and stuff. Yeah.
Well, actually, stuff coming towards the Earth. From those solar. I don't know much.
So yeah,
obviously,
like solar flaring. And
flare, yeah. And so that's the goal, is to get an actual piece of hardware into space, reporting back, but also obviously to land the rocket as well, which is the whole Falcon 9 thing.
So anyway, T-Rave, what's your show and tell?
All right, well, we're not completely into show and tell, but we are into the last article, which all Doctor Who fans should rejoice about, and that is that Lego has greenlighted the Lego idea for Doctor Who. Now, if you're not familiar with Lego idea, basically you submit a plan and people upvote it. If that plan gets more than 10,000 views, they consider it, and then they have to go through, can we get the rights to this? Can we get the licensing? And one of those being the Ghostbusters car and set that went through to production, and the Doctor Who one is gonna be awesome. Now the actual idea is super awesome. It's the TARDIS. It has I think it has Rose in it with Bad Wolf. It has Bad Wolf spray painted on the TARDIS, but it also has
amazing.
It has weeping angels and different doctors.
So this is in one set?
So, that's what was in the idea. So we'll see. Yeah, at the end of the day, we'll see, because what we saw with the Ghostbusters set is that the person, I believe, had a Slimer figurine in there, and they did not produce that. I bring this up towards really close to the show and tell portion, because I actually do have the Ghostbuster set in front of me, and that is my Ghostbuster, or that is my show and tell. First off, This is BA. So these are the figurines, all 4 of them. They all have backpacks on it. Hopefully this is clear enough. Some have walkie-talkies, and I love these walkie-talkies. Man, they were the walkie-talkies that I was used to when I was like 5 years old
the
playing
like
with Lego.
CB radio.
Yeah, the big CB radios. But the backpacks and the hoses for the guns are amazing. But this is the first piece you build in the Ghostbuster set, and it's 540 odd pieces. And this set took me 5 hours to build, or 2.5 movies. It was stupid. But this is the first thing you build, and this is literally an hour. Like,
that is amazing. So, like, I'm a huge fan of Legos as well, and the architecture set are like my favorite. But you've got more in this. Tell me more, T-Ray.
So moving on, then they actually have the Echo One car, and again, this was a Lego idea. Someone took this from their brain, kind of built it out. It got over 10,000 likes. There's actually more Lego ideas out there for the Ghostbuster headquarters, the actual building, the firehouse, that they're considering. But this, man, I'll tell you what, even though it took me 5.5 hours, this is amazing. So I have the DeLorean as well, the Back to the Future set. And I thought it's cool. It's awesome. But at the end of the day, they paid so much attention to detail in this. Like, there's a little ladder on this side. I love the license plates always. The DeLorean has... it actually comes with 3, because the DeLorean you can switch between either of the movies, or any 3 of the movies. But this one... God, it turns out so well. Just the grill on the front. Anyway, they did an amazing job with this.
I want to show this off. So, first off, I know you've heard of these. A lot of people ask how, like, I go through a process, right? And so I tell them it's really simple. You just start coming up with objectives, and then you start sketching. And so people in creative fields who have to be creative or problem solve all the time, so programmers and everyone else, I can't recommend highly enough these field notes. So let me these are the ones I have, by the way. Are
those filled, or are those new that are ready for filling?
I'm going to say that a third of them are not filled yet. I've got like these ratty ones. You can see the cover is kind of like taped, and they end up getting personalities to them. You know, this is from the Space series. I usually draw a robot in the first page, and then it's kind of like...
It's all downhill from there.
Yeah, pretty much. And so I love these things. They even have the large format one. This is from... They're limited edition, some of them. You can get them. It's a shop out of Chicago. And these existed because I think Draplin is the designer for these. And he found these old seed manuals that, you know, is like a lost piece of Americana. Farmers would use these seed manuals, and they would have like planting guides, like pieces of almanac kind of stuff and ads in them. But they would just like have all these notes in it. And what he did was he said, why don't these things exist anymore? You know, people would put their entire lives into some of these things, journaling, doing basic math, all this stuff. And so he said, you know, how can we bring this back? And so he made, like, you know, I sketched all these wireframes in these things. They're random notes. Just, you know, I'm hoping I have no NDAs about these things that I'm showing. And the cool thing is on the back of them, they always have, like, these guides, you know, like this one's got like a wave spectrum and the Pythagorean theorem on it. They've got, you know, I've got one of the arts ones, and it's got it's got the story arc. So it's got like the midpoint, the crisis, all that. At
some point, I think we should go over the writing utensils we keep on hand as well. I know we showed our astronaut pins, but I just added a new device to my family. So maybe that will be next week. And we'll go from there. So, Anyway, I think that's it for us for episode 5. Thanks for everyone joining us. If you are available on Thursday nights at 8 o'clock Central Standard Time, we actually record this show live, and so you can join the Hangout on Google, add us on Google Plus, or at least like us on Facebook. You'll get that information. We try to hit 8:15. You can join us for a much longer version than the edited version we put out there, and yeah.
Sounds good.
sounds good. But thank you everyone for watching. Thanks for liking our Facebook page. If you haven't already, Lone Pixel TV, go check it out.
We will see you next week. Have a good night. Bye-bye.
Please hang up and try again.